to My Accent is No Accident podcast. I'm your host, Maritza Perez, and we are here today with a very special woman who has an inspirational story and who is also a role model who teaches us the relationship among mothers and daughters. Her name is Sandra Combe. Retired 30 years corporate, mother and daughter wellness healing center for 15 years, Kinder Spirit Connections in 2021, NDE, and Stop the Bypass book delivered in spring 2024 author. Sandra Combe is here bringing us an inspirational story of what almost didn't happen, end up changing and transformation and that life of hers and those around her. Sandra, it is an honor to have you with us today.
Well, I'm excited to have the opportunity to join you, Maritza. You've been part of the mastermind, and I was there for your first podcast.
Yes, I love having you here. I was looking forward. I was very excited to have you today. But let's start with my signature question.
Okay.
Sandra, what is your accent and why is
Oh.
not an accident?
Well, I'd have to say my accent is being impeccable with my words and telling my truth. I have no language accent as I'm from Southern California, but I'd have to say that I've been a truth seeker and a truth finder, and it's been part of my transformation story.
And I love that of you. When I was looking at all the information, and I have seen your presentations, and the transformational story that you have is beyond what one can imagine. It made people cry and engage into a different level. So, what is that started all these book? And tell me the story of how all this started.
Okay. Well, I used to share my story that at the age of 48, I was working for the number one global company in the world in the oil and gas industry. And I went back to eat. I got my MBA at 40. I got my heart attack at 49. And I got my pacemaker at 50. And then it was just moving forward until I turned in my 60s, retired, and thought I was going to live life happily ever after. And I had a near-death experience. But that experience, Maritza, allowed me, I believe I returned from my experience to heal all my unresolved wounds of my childhood. And in doing that, then I've come to understand all the contributing factors that attributed to my heart attack, which was, a lot of abuse around a childhood trauma.
Yes. So you were trying to achieve goals to hide that from your soul, to put it, to turn off a fire. But at the same time, you were turning on a fire in your health.
Exactly. And it was about a year and a half, I had gotten a new business coach that we started to do some hypnotherapy and past life regressions and a lot of trauma work. I mean, it was huge. It was over years. And, I was actually able to go back and my past was unveiled to me. And, when it included the unveiling of the past and also, kind of coming forward, as a new person of learning how to overcome and learning how to forgive. But everything happened so fast, Maritza, but it really did give me an opportunity to understand how from our childhood, how we carry things into being an adult. And that trauma, I had never dealt with it. And physically, my heart gave out. And then when I had my near-death experience, I had an opportunity to go back and look at every person and every event and every turning point of my life. And it has, I started doing the Stop the Bypass book as self-therapy until I realized that it really does have benefits for other people.
And it's a beautiful book. And one of the things is I love the way you describe the book. When you're saying it, this book was not all book. Um, and that is kind of like what you are talking about during the book, right? What
Right, right. There's a really strong prologue that is written and has been part of my Stop the Bypass, my now site that I have right now, and also a new website with my daughter. That it starts from me waking up 3 days coming out of a coma from my near death experience and starting the review of my life.
and what is the thing that scared you the most when you realized, oh my gosh, I'm back?
Well, I had a lot of odd dreams. I had a lot of memories, and of course, I was on the best drugs on the planet, and everything came back to me. Um, there was a part of me that felt I was present during the whole rescue operations, which was 9 minutes without a pulse, without breathing. My daughter did. I think I shared my story. My daughter and her husband administered rescue breaths and CPR. So, there was this whole rescue event, and then I woke up 3 days later in the hospital. And I walked away 3 days later, a complete miracle. But then everything began. And I remember that I was talking to these beings and that I had a choice to return. And they were very compassionate and loving towards me. And I made that part of my book was not so much the near-death experience, but everything that led to the near-death experience, and not so much focused on death, but focused on having an opportunity to now really live my best life.
And it's beautiful. So one of the things that we all talk about and many people wonder is what happens after life. And you experience that we continue and we are energy, and there are other guides or beings that are going to be there full of love, giving us continuation of life. In your case, they were telling you, no, you're not ready.
But I did. I had a choice, but it would have been to my benefit to come back and finish the work and to lead with this message about stopping the bypass. And, I had recently retired after working 31 years for corporate America. So, I mean, I was the perfect candidate of being so busy, that I forgot to live my life. Was just so busy with school and competing and performance and being an exec. And it put a whole new perspective on life, on my family, on all the things that I said I wanted to do with my life that I never did. So Stop the Bypass now has been instrumental in my life for 3 years. So I've been writing the book for 3 years.
And it's wonderful. It's a book that it not only talks about your experience as a human being, but also talks about that spiritual experience that you had.
Yes, right.
That is incredible. Tell us a little bit about that.
Um, for one thing, it's very difficult to find the words because it's really beyond the words. But yes, I've always studied spirituality, and I knew we had a karma board, but this was something that was completely different. And the beings that I met with, I later referred to them as the original ones. I believe that we all came from some spiritual ancestral, and our DNA goes, back as far as thousands of lives, I believe, if you believe in incarnation. And I got to review my life. And I also got a chance to see how my life would continue now that I had this platform to, to share the message about stop bypassing your happy life. Because we put walls around us, we wear masks to appear happy. And I did it, um, from my childhood sexual abuse into the corporate world. I donned a mask to be competitive with the male dominated hierarchy. And I climbed the corporate ladder. I called success. But it was always in a pursuit to be worthy, in a pursuit to become significant. All of those because I did not have the safety and love that we would normally have as a child.
So you were trying to find that attention that will fulfill that hole that those abuse that happened when you were little.
Yeah.
We're trying to fulfill that space, but
Mike was
then
always trying to fill that void, because your parents and your family are your first exposures to love.
yes,
And they didn't teach me how to self-love myself. And in my pursuit of being worthy, I excelled in school. I sang in the church choir. I was a popular cheerleader. But I wore those masks. I wore those masks for so long, Maritza, I didn't even remember that I was unhappy. And then I didn't remember about the abuse. And
yes.
I'd say my big spiritual quest happened over 30 years ago. I had a sister that committed suicide. And there's a part of me now that, while seeking the truth of the story, sees that everything was related to her life also, and the evolution of how she endured her own battle with that sexual abuse. But she was also born in a time that marginalized gay people. And it was, back in the 80s, and that's when I started carrying the torch of where are you, God. I started studying every death and dying. I became a mindfulness teacher, meditation, breath work. I have worked a lot with people that are experiencing death and dying with their loved ones. I think God gave me an opportunity to live that experience and apply those teachings.
Okay.
And I thought that I'd be coming back to teach people about death and dying. But my message, really, stop the bypass, is how to really start living and living a life worth living.
Yes. And it's beautiful. There is an energy of love and acceptance when you talk, the way you are telling these things that can let us know and really tells us how the transformation, because yes, as women working in corporate, we're constantly battling against ourselves, against who we are, and then we have to let that person behind, leave them behind, and become something that is good for society, that is good for out there, for the world where we are working. Um, it is amazing, that transformation. And then now let's talk about how that helped you and your daughter
Oh, perfect.
become closer.
um, well, when my daughter was in high school, we started doing a lot of energy healing. I was stressed out. I had had a heart attack. She was the homecoming princess and the most valuable player on the softball field. I didn't think she had a worry in the world, but she had lots of anxiety. So when we started We started learning Reiki. We started learning biofeedback. We started learning theta and all these different healings that allowed us to use them on our self healing and then for our clients. So I've had, my daughter is my best friend. She's my only child. I started going to Ireland to these wellness retreats.
Yes.
She went right along with me. So we've been building this business, Kindred Spirit Connections, for over 15 years. But we have also traveled together and studying everything from training the mind with mindfulness and the beliefs. And then she was instrumental in saving my life.
Mm-hmm.
She was the person stayed with me, for 3 days. And when I woke up out of the coma, I mean, it was such a miracle. Do you know that my pacemaker didn't even register an event? The whole
Oh, wow.
thing was just this unbelievable. And I just knew I had been given this energy, I believe, to make this platform. I'm joining a Speaking of Success. I'm going to become a global influencer. I'm going to be sharing this message. But this is really the first time that I've ever done a podcast on it. But it's um, allowed me to better understand. My parents are both alive. So when we have a party, we have 4 generations.
Yes.
And it's like we all speak a different language. They all have different accents, Maritza.
Yes.
The kids speak technology. My grandparents speak, about the good old days. But, we've learned to communicate. And, with my daughter, because she now is a mindfulness teacher privately and in the public schools, all my grandkids have had the opportunity to be involved in that type of work. But I am developing a new program. It's called Stop the Bypass, of course. And it's about mind, opening your heart, and uplifting your soul. And it is the embodiment of everything that I've learned, because the joy that I found in life was the joy on this trip of spirituality. And
Hi, I'm very happy to know you are here watching our podcast today. It is an honor to be featuring so many entrepreneurs on the journeys of their inside voice, their accent that is not an accident. And we want to reach out more people like you who are creating a better world of diversity, inclusiveness, equity, and belonging. So please take a moment to hit the subscribe button below, like, and share to others. And even if you want to leave a comment, that'll be nice. Thank you for your support. And now back to the episode.
spirituality. And it actually took me into that transition that you asked about, Maritza, um, because I'm Christian, I had an experience with the Christ. Because I also study Buddhism, I climbed the stupa. I study the Kabbalah because my daughter converted to Judaism. I climbed the tree of life. I mean,
How
when
beautiful.
I was there, uh, my imagination got activated. This big solar that I believe is above us is coming into us. I mean, I had some amazing experiences, which I believe are kind of door openings to this great awakening. But it's giving me some insights and a new perspective. And now my program is about moving beyond the bypass.
Here, Stop the Bypass, the book,
Yes,
has not only become the words on the paper, but now it's going to be a program that helps others realize that stop doing this
right.
nonsense and live
The
your life. You can
distractions,
still, yeah, and you can
right,
still have your work, going to corporate, doing all these things, but don't bypass your spirit.
right, right. And as you start practicing mindfulness, you start becoming more aware, and then you start being able to have better reactions with what's happening in your environment. And while the book's coming out, I submitted a chapter, and I had given it to you. The chapter's called Dying to Live, and it's a little preview of everything that's in my book. Dying to serve, dying to feel alive again, dying to live a full-on life. That's kind of the new program now. But I was asked to write a chapter in this art of saving time and money for entrepreneurs. And mine was based that abundance is on the wealth of experience that we get from all the experiences in our life. So that's what mine was on. And it actually became a bestseller in December. So that was fun, becoming a contributing author on that book. It gave me an opportunity to learn how to write with an editor and a publisher, and now it's giving me this great momentum to finish my own book, which is being edited right now.
And it's coming soon. Yeah. And if you go to stop the bypass,
we bundle offer that we are offering. Because we're building up the momentum now to get published. We're going to do self-publishing for now. I'm a big Hay House. I grew up with Louise Hay. She was all part of our healing modalities. But, at this point, it's getting the book finished. I actually had visions of a dragonfly coming out of the pool. So that's going to be my new avatar. So everything's coming together, like the universe just opens the door. And I used to believe that, everything happened for you. But did it happen to you? It happened for you if you become aware. But I think the new stuff now is that it's happening from you. So if you can start really manifesting and stopping all the chaos and the drama and everything in your life, and you become more aware, then you realize that it is those thoughts that are creating your reality. And, so that's what I'm doing now. I'm having fun finishing the book. I'm actually getting ready to write another book. I think it's going to be a trilogy. And I'm doing a personal transformation journey book, like a playbook with exercises, because I learned how beneficial Zoom can be when you have the one-on-one, but it's nice sometimes, because not everybody communicates well, that you could be asked some specific questions like, what would you like to change in your life, Maritza? And we'll talk about it next week, that you have that. So I've got that going on too. And my daughter and I are going to be doing some workshops together where we're going to take that experience. It was the same experience. I was in total bliss, and she was in the biggest trauma in her life. And, just talk about the rescue, and talk about what a difference life has since we both had experienced that near-death experience. And, her story is a little bit different than mine, but I think it's something that the world's ready to hear. And, I'm excited the way it's come together when it's meant to be and things open up with the universe. I know that I came back to heal and break the chains of that unresolved trauma. And I believe the healing takes place when the illusion goes away, when the distortion of the truth goes away. It's been a huge healing, and everybody around me is healing. So that's my next chapter I'm supposed to read for Brian's my editor. For me to recognize how much my life has changed. Like, I've been unraveling the tapestry of my life, and how much it's changed when more truth will set you free. That's kind of the theme of the book. Trust the universe again, and it's the truth that will set you free.
When you open your eyes, when you wake up from what you have done, and not having that mentality of being a victim,
Yeah, yeah.
and seeking. And when you are a victim, you seek so much. When you have that mentality of being a victim, you seek so much attention from another place to turn that off.
Right. I mean, I really had to go back and look at all the soul wounds of betrayal and abandonment and rejection and humiliation and injustice. I think those are like the five main wounds. And then to realize that I've carried them with me my whole life
Yes,
and that people have these tools that can help support. And when it was unveiled, yes, it was painful, but it was truth that had been hidden for so long. We hide so many family secrets. Um,
yes,
but I didn't have to wear that mask of pretending anymore. You know, when the truth came out, we, we you have to work through it. And a lot of
through
it
it.
was self forgiving. And I'd have to say I was thankful that I had the tools that I had. But everything that I've been learning for 30 years about death and dying, about mindfulness, meditation, um, I got a chance to experience it. And now I get a chance to really come back and live my life differently. And how am I going to create the best life worth living and realize all the lessons that are given to us all the time? Like, like understanding that heart lesson, that it was God hitting me with a 2x4 saying, you're bypassing your life. And all the trauma that was never resolved has now come to the table. So it's been an amazing journey of personal transformation.
And in this transformation is also helping you to realize that it's not you only. It's about everyone and as many people that you can touch with your story and with your teachings and with the realization that you had in life now becomes the mastery.
The self mastery, that's exactly what it is. And now when I look in people or in my environment, I look at them as a mirror and how does it feel inside of me? I believe that everybody is a mirror. And I try to look what's happening on a 3D level. I also study a lot of 5D stuff. So I it's been very interesting in this whole evolution of awakening. And I'm thankful that I had those original tools. And like I said, for decades, I've studied mindfulness, meditation, breath work, and now we're using it big time.
Yes, and these are techniques that you are also helping people. You're using them to help people between you and your daughter. So how is it to work with you and your daughter? Do you do it together? Do you do it separate?
We've done it both ways. We have funner when we do it together because, like, we can finish each other's. She likes to focus because her children are young. She does a lot in youth sports. They play soccer, baseball, golf, and so she does a lot of mindfulness um, with those different type of teams. I was the training coordinator for corporate. I could out PowerPoint everybody, but
Yeah.
now we're talking from things that are coming from our heart. Very different to be vulnerable when you're talking about yourself. But I think that's when the transformation happens, when you feel it in your heart. And we do tapping, we do breath work. We call them healing tears. Times
Yes.
we'll be so emotional, talking about like sometimes our lives just seem crazy and all the things that we used to do. But this book is really now moving beyond the bypass, and we're um, using it as energy medicine. All healing is self healing. So everything that's happening out there is happening from us inside. So we're
Yes.
constantly taking classes together. We're doing one now, like on Chinese medicine, because some that everybody's got some sort of illness, and our book's going to be like library too. So for me, it's stopping the bypass is reclaiming all that personal power and all that vital energy that trauma keeps alive, it now comes back into you, and you have more energy to serve.
And all of this is so true. And not only is it, I will say it is beautiful, but it's beyond that because it's real.
It is real. It is. I mean, we all have our own transformational journey, but when I look back at mine, and I'm able to talk about overcoming sexual abuse, overcoming. I got pounded in corporate for 30 years, and then I start this big spiritual quest, and then I have these amazing experiences. Like I met Brian, who now is my business coach, Brian Baird, in Costa Rica at a spiritual retreat, and I had this unbelievable experience with this blue butterfly. Now,
Yes.
later that year, I was at the family barbecue and they thought I was meditating. They were leaving me underwater meditating, but I had fainted because I was dehydrated. And
Yes.
that's when the rescue began. And, you know, in week when I came home, it was just like a new life began. A new life began. And
Yes.
it just, it made me realize that how much death can even just be a teacher, because it gives you a new value of life. New
It
value of
does.
life.
It does. It is amazing. I think of you and your daughter as guides that are not only spiritual, but you bring the real thing to the table. You put a mirror, like you're saying, in front of your reality, of people's reality, and say, and bypass that reality and become this other one.
Right. Well, and I think when people when they look at how they bypass their lives and their protective walls that they build, um, you know, beyond them really can lie this exquisite life of joy and peace. And you know what? I've lived like everybody else has lived, but my life has changed significantly since the near death, which has been 3 years. 3 years.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
I'm excited for the book to come out. And you know, everybody talks about their own personal transformation, and yeah, we're really collapsing a bunch of the illusion. But I think we've talked about everything. You know,
Yes.
at 49, the heart bypassed. I mean, I had a triple bypass surgery then, and I have studied and every new technology, medical, allopathic, alternative, holistic that comes out. And I've had fun enjoying it. And we do a lot what's called the Rising Star now. And my
Yes.
daughter and I study a lot. I've been to India and Egypt and Ireland, and now leading the workshops, because just teaching people about self-healing is something that I think is going to benefit humanity. So,
Yes.
you know, between training the brain when you think that's meditation, it's huge, and it can really change our lives.
It can really change the life and one person at a time. We until we realize that we are until the whole world realizes that we are all in this together. And when we you say those words, it's true. It's like we are together. We need to
Right.
become one, love. The Bible, the Torah, you know, all the
And
books
for me,
say it.
the one breath of life. I mean, we all really die from the same thing, and it's lack of breath. And it all
Yes,
begins the way spirit enters your, and we don't have to talk spirituality, but then you can still talk the physical aspect of the breath of life, and
yes,
how the organs express themselves when like when Louise Hay talks about healing your life. And I think when people get tired of the physical and the allopath, are looking for alternative and holistic, and then they realize everything that contributes to the physical. You know, they start looking into what I call energy therapy, energy medicine. There's so much out there, and
yes.
it is an amazing world.
Yes. And I have done a couple of energetic healing, and it is before any meditation, is just the realization that is all in your head and you
You,
are creating it.
right. You are creating it with your thoughts, your words, and your deeds. Till you can get that clutter out of your mind, which you can do by simple meditation every day, training your mind. Um, it it opens up a whole new world.
Yes.
And I believe that we're in this for unity consciousness, and that's the stuff that we teach, and it is kind of each one teach one, because there is so much stress, and the kids with the new technology, we hadn't even gone there yet. So I got three
Yes.
teenagers deeply involved in that. But yes, I just came home last month from Ireland, and my signature talk, Stop Bypassing Your Happy Life, and I practiced at our IBR mindfulness, and I appreciated and took everybody's feedback. And I'm still continuing it. Um,
Yes.
and like I said, I'm going to be joining the platform. I'm like this weekend. I'm just going to show you. I did this huge vision board. I
Oh,
haven't done a
wow.
vision board in 10 years, but it was really, you know, on really looking at ways that I can continue to stop my bypass of my life.
Yes.
And it's just, we've been so conditioned. We've been so trained to be what everybody wants us to be, how to play the daughter, the sister, the wife, the mother, the grandmother. And those are the different masks we play. I control things and make things perfect for this person. I try to keep happiness for everything. And then all of a sudden, you have the near death experience. And then you're like, what about me? And so I've also now have been a big advocate on self-care, self-nurture, and yeah, having fun and playing again in life. And
Yes.
that inner child has been set free. A lot of work, a lot of trauma release work to get there. But I believe that when the book comes out, and the exercises that people do in some workshops, and people are ready to change, Maritza. And
Yes.
there's so much out there. When I left Costa Rica, my life changed forever. I mean, I lost 50 pounds by just unloading these emotional layers that we carry in our mind. And um, now taking responsibility for everything that happens in my life.
Yeah, exactly. And being able to realize that you are a creator of your own destiny.
Right?
Um, it is it this interview is amazing, and we're getting to the end,
Okay.
and I don't want to leave without giving you the opportunity to tell our audience how they can find you.
Okay. um, uh, we put most everything into the LinkedIn with Sandra Combe, and I sent you the
We have all the links.
yeah, we have all the links. We've been blending the 15-year kindred spirit connections with Stop the Bypass. So I'm going to be doing Stop the Bypass, and she's going to be doing kindred spirit connections, but we'll be doing things together. We're going to be putting together some book trailers from actual CPR NDE experience
Okay.
from the fire department, and putting together some videos and QR codes and getting ready to take our message out. So I think this is kind of an introductory, and I appreciate you helping to lead Stop the Bypass to get known.
And love our time together, because what I'm about to say, and I always tell the audience a last thought, but you are the living proof of it. Do you want to leave our audience with any last thought, with something special?
Oh my goodness. Well, uh, we never really think much about being, I mean, we think about death a lot. We think about death of our loved one. But I guess for me is that it was coming out of the hospital, and realizing that God had given me a second chance to live. And if you knew you only had a week to live, what would you do with your life? And what legacy would you leave? And I think for me is we have that opportunity every day to do something with our lives. And we don't need to have an event like that could, I made this deal with God and came back, and I will share this message with the world. Uh, but I would just say live your best life and
Yeah.
understand the lessons that are coming in your life.
Amen to that. Thank you, Sandra. It was a pleasure having you here. Um, and to you, my audience, remember you came to this world because a created first God loved you to be loved and to love one another. Thank you. Until next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, it's Maritza here. If you like this episode of My Accent is No Accident podcast and would like to listen more like this, subscribe wherever you're listening to it or watching it. Leave us a nice review and share with your friends, family, and network. Thanks for listening.